All this week, WAAY 31 is shining a spotlight on domestic violence. Millions of women find themselves trapped in abusive relationships every year, whether physical, emotional, or psychological.
WAAY 31's Dan Shaffer wraps up our coverage with one survivor's story of breaking free from her abuser and turning her survival story into an outreach for others.
Why did I get to live? Why did I get to live?
Tanya Reagan has asked herself that question many times over the years, and time has given her an answer.
I can maybe be a voice of hope to someone else.
Her journey of healing began after 12 years of an emotionally and verbally abusive marriage. She left several times, but always came back. Then one day, she found herself staring down the barrel of a gun.
Frightening, very frightening.
Because there was no physical violence, she admits she made excuses for her husband. She says it's important that women understand abusers are not abusive every day.
And that's part of what holds women in those relationships. We love them, you know, and we want our life with them, with the person we fell in love with, not the monster that they are sometimes.
She gathered up the courage to leave for good. After a 2-hour standoff with police, her then husband was arrested, convicted, and served time in prison. But during her ordeal, she came to realize the difficulties that DV victims have just trying to protect themselves from their abusers. She found help at a shelter. She learned how to help herself, essentially. She says that saved her life.
I know without a doubt, had I not received shelter services, I don't think I would be here talking with you today.
She turned her pain into purpose. She's now the manager of Hope Place, a domestic violence shelter in Huntsville operated by Crisis Services of North Alabama. It's a mission and a calling. Her vision for the shelter is simple.
Hope. And they can start beginning to learn that they're not alone.
No, unfortunately, they are not. More than 10 million people have their lives torn apart by domestic violence every year. 1 in 4 women are victims of severe physical abuse. 1 in 5 domestic violence cases involve a weapon. Many lose their lives.
So this is a real problem that affects all aspects of society.
Kurt Lindsley is the president of the Crisis Center's Board of Directors. He says even though the number of DV cases is coming down, there is still a stigma, a lot of guilt and shame that their organization is trying to undo.
Focused on helping to raise awareness about the problem, to educate people, to help people learn where they can go to get help.
That help starts with a simple phone call. This is the call center at Crisis Services of North Alabama. There is somebody manning these phones 24/7. No one has to know you called. You can remain anonymous. There's no judgment, but it's important to take that first step.
Then they'll be connected with a domestic violence advocate who can help them begin to understand what's happening to them.
Tanya is looking forward to the day when there is no more need for a Domestic Violence Awareness Month or crisis shelters. The day when we say, enough.
That's my answer, is society saying we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to sit and watch this happen to in our homes and to our families.
If you or someone you know is involved in an abusive relationship, help is just a phone call away. And as Dan just mentioned, there's no judgment here. You could trust these people. You could call the Crisis Center of North Alabama's helpline. Here's the number, 256-716-1000.
And to find today's story and our complete coverage of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, go to our website, waaytv.com. Just click on the navigation bar and then click on the News tab.